In the shadows of every city, behind every locked door, lies a story waiting to be told. Welcome to Dark Justice, where we uncover the darkest crimes, the mysteries that haunt history, and the minds of those who dared to defy the law. We will dive into solved cases, cold mysteries, and the chilling truths behind criminal legends. This is not just storytelling. This is where crime meets justice, and every detail matters. Subscribe, stay alert, and step into the darkness with us, because the story is just beginning. The Golden State Killer, the cop who became California's most terrifying predator. For over 4 decades, a faceless predator haunted California. He crept into homes under the cover of night, tied his victims with meticulous precision, and turned ordinary suburban neighborhoods into hunting grounds. He taunted police, eluded capture, and left communities paralyzed with fear. They called him many names: the East Area Rapist, the original Night Stalker, the Diamond Knot Killer. But history would remember him as one of the most terrifying criminals in American history. The Golden State Killer. Tonight, we follow the trail of terror, the decades of unanswered questions, and the breakthrough that finally revealed the truth, that the man behind the mask was once sworn to protect. The year was 1976. Sacramento, California, a growing suburban area, quiet, safe, and family-friendly. A place where people left doors unlocked, where children played until sunset, and where neighbors trusted one another. But in June of that year, a shadow began to creep across the community. At first, it seemed like ordinary crime: burglaries, pets going missing, strange noises in backyards late at night. Women reported hearing footsteps outside their windows. Others swore they saw a man standing in the darkness, watching, waiting. Police suspected prowlers, maybe teenagers. But these were no random acts. They were rehearsals, the beginning of something much worse. The first confirmed attack came in June 1976. A woman sleeping alone was startled awake by a flashlight in her eyes. A man in a ski mask stood in her bedroom holding a knife. He tied her hands with shoelaces he had brought with him, gagged her, and assaulted her, all while calmly whispering threats. It was the first of many. The attacks continued, each one more daring than the last. He targeted single women at first, breaking into their homes at night. But soon, he escalated. Married couples became his victims. He developed a chilling ritual. He would tie the husband, stack dishes on his back, and whisper that if he heard the plates rattle, the wife would be killed. Then, as the husband lay helpless, he would assault the woman for hours. The terror spread like wildfire. Families began sleeping with guns, baseball bats, even makeshift alarms, rigged with cans and string. Hardware stores reported record sales of locks and guard dogs, but nothing seemed to stop him. By the end of 1977, there were over 30 confirmed attacks across Sacramento and neighboring counties. And still, the masked intruder remained a ghost. By 1978, the East Area Rapist had become California's most feared man. Community across Stockton, Modesto, and Contra Costa County reported similar crimes. His methods were precise. He stalked his victims for days, studying their routines. He cut phone lines before breaking in. He carried ropes and shoelaces, often stolen from the victims' own homes. Survivors remembered his eerie whispers. Sometimes he would hum softly, almost childlike. Other times, he would call victims after the attacks, whispering chilling threats. "I'll be back." And then, everything escalated. In February 1978, a young couple, Brian and Katie Maggiore, were walking their dog in Rancho Cordova when they startled someone lurking in the dark. That man was the East Area Rapist. Fearing exposure, he shot and killed both of them. It was his first known double murder. The boundaries had been crossed. The rapist was now a killer. From 1979 onward, the attack shifted south into Santa Barbara, Ventura, and Orange counties. Here, the crimes became even more brutal. The masked man invaded homes at night, tied entire families, and murdered them in cold blood. Investigators called him the original Night Stalker, but they didn't realize he was the same man terrorizing Sacramento years earlier. Back then, databases didn't exist. Counties worked in isolation, unaware they were chasing the same predator. By the mid-1980s, the Golden State Killer had committed at least 13 murders, over 50 rapes, and more than 100 burglaries. And then, silence. The killings stopped. The trail went cold. For over 30 years, the case haunted California. Generations of detectives tried and failed to identify the suspect. Profiles were drawn, suspects interrogated, but the masked man had vanished without a trace. Survivors never forgot. Many lived in fear for the rest of their lives, jumping at every sound, locking every door, wondering if he was still out there. And he was, because during all those years of silence, the Golden State Killer was living a double life. His name was Joseph James DeAngelo, a former police officer, a father, a neighbor, a man who blended into suburbia, unnoticed. It wasn't until the rise of DNA technology that hope returned. Investigators began linking old crime scene samples, proving that the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker were the same man. Still, his identity remained hidden. Then, in 2018, investigators tried something new. They uploaded his DNA to a genealogy website used for family history. By building family trees from distant relatives, they traced the DNA back to one man, Joseph James DeAngelo. Surveillance teams collected DNA from items he discarded in public. The match was undeniable. After decades of fear, grief, and unanswered questions, the Golden State Killer had a name. In April 2018, police surrounded DeAngelo's home in Citrus Heights, California. After 40 years, the hunt was over. In court, survivors and families of victims finally confronted the frail, elderly man who had once been their nightmare. He sat silent as voices filled the room, recounting nights of terror, decades of trauma, lives forever changed. DeAngelo pleaded guilty to 13 murders and 13 kidnappings, and admitted to many more. In August 2020, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Joseph James DeAngelo will die behind bars, but for the survivors, justice came not just in a courtroom, but in knowing that the faceless shadow who once haunted California would never hurt anyone again. The Golden State Killer's reign of terror lasted more than a decade, but the scars he left lasted lifetimes. His capture marked a turning point, proving that no matter how long it takes, no matter how far science must go, the truth has a way of emerging from the dark. And sometimes, justice only sleeps. It never dies.